What is up, everybody? I am Reese, and you're listening to The Introverted Nerd Watches. I'm back. I'm really sorry that I've been so inconsistent lately these last few weeks. I haven't felt like doing the podcast. I haven't felt like doing anything. So what happened was my grandmother died, and that's enough explanation, right? I just really haven't been into the podcast lately. I haven't wanted to watch even Saved by the Bell. I just felt like blah and kind of depressed. So that is what happened to me. I haven't really been on Twitter a whole lot lately. I'm starting to get back into it, into social media and stuff. So, yeah. And like last week, it was like I was actually on Twitter, and I was saying that Cloak and Dagger is not the show you want to watch when you're not, in the right mindset, because it can be kind of depressing. But I'm back. I feel better. I watched Cloak and Dagger. So I'm happy to start talking about this show again. I'm happy to be podcasting again. I'm happy to be getting back to my normal routine. So here I am, people. And this week I watched Cloak and Dagger, season 1, episode 10, Colony Collapse. It's the finale, y'all. So you need to subscribe to the podcast just before we get into anything else. See, I'm all like rusty and everything. I don't even know how to start things, and I'm not editing. I can't speak. I'm not editing this. So all of my mistakes will be here. I'm sorry if you're offended by my mistakes. Get over it. So subscribe to the podcast and Apple Podcasts. I'm on Google Play, Stitcher. I'm even on Spotify and iHeartRadio. So subscribe all over the place. Rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts. And that's it. Let's get into Colony Collapse, because I got a lot to say about it, and I don't want to be here all night. I want to go get something to eat. So overall, I liked the finale. I didn't love it, but what it did do is make me excited for the second season, which is, I guess, the job of the finale. Like, I wasn't super excited about what happened in the finale, but I was really excited about what could happen in season 2. So, that's a good thing, right? So, there were some parts I really liked. There were some parts that I was like, God damn, if we don't get the fuck off of these. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. Evita and her auntie, they can go. I'm not into them. I gave them a chance. I thought the auntie was kind of amusing a few episodes ago. I think you remember that. I thought she was amusing a few episodes ago. I'm really not into the auntie. I don't even know that woman's name. I called her auntie all over my notes. I'm sure she has a name in this show. I'm not looking it up because I don't care about her that much. But she was like narrating the backdrop of this episode, sort of the the divine pairings throughout history. She was giving us the history of those throughout the episode. And it wasn't that interesting to me. I don't find Evita and her aunt to be that useful, which is what I said on Tumblr too, and I got messages like, have you been watching the show? They're very useful. How can you say Evita is not useful? How can you get the fuck out of my face? Okay. She's not useful. And even in this episode, she was really not useful. So, they were the worst part of the episode for me. Everything else I was, kind of cool with. As I go along, I'll tell you what I had a problem with. But overall, I would say this episode was like a 7 out of 10. I usually don't like to rate episodes like that, but I would say if I'm going to give it a number grade, I would give it a 7 out of 10. Enjoyed it. Had fun live tweeting it because I did live tweet this episode. And the rewatch was kind of where I was really annoyed with the aunt. So, I liked it, didn't love it. And actually, that was my first note. The first note I took was Auntie kind of narrating this episode. Ugh. So that's how I felt about it. I thought that we didn't need all of these. There have been including Ty and Tandy, there have been 5 divine pairings, if I'm remembering this correctly. And, it's kind of interesting, because we've known for a while, for quite a few episodes that she's been saying for a while that one has to die. And it's been like, okay, this is Cloak and Dagger. Neither one of these people is going to die. But as soon as it was fully explained, like what she was talking about, when she was going on about how, having one of the divine parent, like through history, none of these people knew that they were the divine pairing. So, they're going off of instinct, killing themselves or sacrificing themselves for the greater good. They don't realize that that's what they're doing. And so neither the divine pairings throughout history don't recognize that they're a part of the divine pairing. So they don't know what they're doing. And it's sort of like 10 minutes into this episode, I'm like, okay, these people are sacrificing themselves and we're going through this cycle over again. But did you ever, did anybody, since they didn't know that they were the divine pairing, they couldn't think of another plan. So it's like this cycle is going on and on throughout history. But I'm like, well, why don't they think of a way for them both to live? Because obviously, and that's what I was thinking about the aunt. I was like, okay, all of this history. You've seen that throughout history, one of these, people in the divine pairing has died. And then, having that person die has, taken all of the bad things that are happening away. Like the first time it was a little Choctaw, a Choctaw village that once the little girl sacrifices herself, and and that was kind of a trippy scene, to see this little girl walk into the water with a basket of rocks on her head to drown herself. So that was kind of, trippy to see a child do that. But, after she sacrifices herself and dies, it says, almost immediately the land becomes fertile, the fish come back. And so it makes, it restores everything. But I'm thinking, if this keeps happening through history, maybe you should think of something else, something that's more permanent. It's like, Auntie Evita's auntie, you weren't smart enough to think Like, hey, maybe we're doing the wrong thing by having this one person sacrifice themselves for what it turns out to be a short term solution to the problem, is what I was thinking. I could, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but this was like, this is what I was doing, because it was like, I'm not interested in this whole story. It doesn't, since we all know that neither Ty nor Tandy is going to die and there's going to be a second season, it felt kind of, not useful. It felt kind of like a wasted time. And I was waiting to get to the point where Ty and Tandy figure out a way where they both can live. So, whatever. So we go back to Tandy. Tandy saves her mom. We ended the last episode with the water assassin holding Tandy's mom. And then, that woman's a bad assassin. Because she allowed Tandy to basically talk her way out of it so that Tandy and her mom could beat her ass and get away from her. So, whatever. She was a bad assassin, and she's not a very good actress. So, whatever. But it was nice to see Tandy and her mom sort of fight together to save themselves. Tandy's mom actually stabs the lady when Tandy is like talking her way out of it. So that was pretty cool. I like to see Tandy and her mom getting, their relationship back together. And after Water Assassin runs out of there, Tandy tells her mom that she has to go help the city. And her mom is like, well, what are you talking about? Why does it have to be you? And Tandy's like, why not? And I'm like, that is right. Why not, Tandy? I'm happy to see the evolution of Tandy, that, that she moved out of her sort of self-pitying, angry, I want to still steal everybody's hope and joy phase, and that she's into the phase of, I have this gift and I can help people, so why don't I do that? So I like that about the evolution of Tandy, and I appreciate it. I can't wait to see, what more happens to her. Tandy was a badass in this episode. I love Tandy. So Ty is still on the run. He ran to get the cloak, which was with his where his father and the other Mardi Gras Indian guys are. And so I really didn't like Ty's dad early in the season. I mean, I think I was kind of clear about that I wasn't digging the father. But in this, he was in such a small part of this episode, but just the interaction that he and Ty have, where there was no question about it. He was helping his son escape. There was like no talk of anything else. It was like, okay, this is what has to happen. He gives Ty the cloak, and he tells Ty, don't come back. You run, you don't call, you don't write, you don't come back here. You run and you hide and you keep yourself alive. And I'm like, oh my God, it's breaking my heart. This guy is like, they lost their one son. Their other son, their baby boy, is now in a shit ton of trouble, and he has to send him out there by himself. And they don't know that Ty has powers now. They don't know about his powers. So it's just, breaking my heart. And I freaking loved him, because when he's talking to Ty, before the police show up there looking for him, he's about to tell Ty, I don't know if I've been a good father, if I was ever a good father to you or your brother. And I'm like, oh my God. See how you turn me around on Father Johnson. I forget what this guy's name. His name Otis. Yeah, that's his name, Otis. I like the name Otis. If I get a cat, I'm gonna name it Otis. Oh my God, what is this noise? I don't know what I'm sorry. I don't know what this noise outside. I have somebody is fixing their car outside and it's a ton of fucking noise. So it's Ty disappears before his dad can finish that sentence. So it's like, oh, and like that's even more sad because his dad never gets to finish what he wants to say to him. So it's like there's this chance that they'll never see him again. I mean, obviously, if these parents are going to stay on this show, I think that there's a good chance that Ty is going to show up at some point to like sort of cloak in to see his parents, because he'll be able to do that since he has these powers and he can tell his parents, right? I mean, he told O'Reilly and Fuchs, that dead ass guy. So you can tell your mom and dad, right? They're definitely, your parents are helping you escape from the police. They're not going to tell on you. They're not going to rat you out or anything. So what is happening in the city is that these valves are exploding. And they're turning everybody into these like the terrors that Ivan used to call them. I was calling them zombies because they're running around like the zombies from 28 Days Later. I swear they're fast as shit. And they're it's really creepy to have these people, running at you, like full stop running at you like a fucking football player or something. So Ty disappears. We go to Tandy. Tandy gets attacked by one of the terrors, and she's going to get Mina because Mina is the only one that can fix this. These valves are placed around the city by her design, so she's the one that Tandy thinks needs to shut it off. And she goes to get Mina, but Mina is still, Tandy stole her hope. So Mina is still she's like still in this like really crappy headspace, which really sucks. And it's like, see Tandy, see what you did? you fucked everything up before you, she didn't even know it, but she fucked everything up because you had this Mina sitting here with no hope. She doesn't really know what to do. So Tandy spends a lot of this episode like giving everybody pep talks. She gives Tyrone a pep talk. Somewhere midway through this episode, she has to give Mina a pep talk to tell her like, Mina, we need your help. You can do this. You can shut off the valves. And it's like, see, Tandy? And like, there has to be, like, Tandy is walking around stealing people's hopes. And I was wondering, like, is there a way that she can give Mina her hope back? I mean, obviously at this point, she doesn't know how to do it, because I assume that if she knew how to give Mina's hope back, she would have done it. It would have been a lot easier than driving around with this like cranky Mina. But whatever. So Mina and Tandy drive to the Roxxon building, and while she's doing that, Ty is trying to make his way around the city. I don't know exactly what his plan was, but Mardi Gras is going on right now, so he thinks he can blend in, but he cannot. And it's like, okay. I was sitting here when Ty is in like he's in the city somewhere. You know, Mardi Gras parades are going on all over the place. There are people everywhere, and he's in these crowds trying to blend in. But there are police around, and the police spot him, and I'm like, one cop sees him, and it's like immediately he gets ID'd, and I'm like, well, really? Like, okay, so a lot of the people around are wearing like really colorful clothes, and Ty is wearing like his black cloak, but it's like it has like sequins all over it, so it's like really bedazzled, so he does blend into the crowd. And I'm like, how do these police recognize this kid so fast? I don't know. I was having a hard. I'm like, really? Like this cop barely saw his face. She saw him in a cloak, and she was like, "That's him." And she started making calls to other cops, and he was trying to like disappear throughout the crowd. And so, you know, while this is going on, O'Reilly hears over the radio that the police spotted Ty, and she tries to go down there. And she goes down there to help him. And, you know, she shows up when, he runs to her car when she shows up, and he's about to get in, but the cops run up on him, and they have guns pulled out on him. And O'Reilly is telling him like, yo, do your thing, like disappear. But he's in a crowd full of people. He can't do it. And he just tells her, no, I can't do it. And he lets himself be caught. O'Reilly also gets taken in, and they get taken to the police station. And basically Connors is running everything now. Like, I don't know when he became, all powerful in the police station, or in the police department, but he is that dude now. He runs everything. They take Ty and O'Reilly down to the police station, but they don't take them to a cell. They don't book them or anything. They take them to like a back room, and they post a cop there to watch them. And basically the plan is he's going to try to pull, or Connors is going to try to pull what he'd pulled with Dwayne, with O'Reilly and Ty now. So he tells them, because the villain always has to tell his plan. He tells them that he's going to take them out wherever. He's going to kill O'Reilly, and then he's going to kill O'Reilly, and then when he kills O'Reilly, he's going to frame Ty for it, and he's basically going to say Ty killed O'Reilly, and then they're going to kill Ty, and it's like his two enemies down. And he is such a piece of shit. I cannot deal with with Connors for a second season. So I am so glad that he dies at the end of this episode, because I did not want him back. I think we got enough of Connors. Yeah, we had enough of him. It was just, he was bad. And then like at certain points he started to border on like cartoonish villain. So he was good for what he was, but I'm glad that he's gone now. So I'm just going through my notes. Evita and Auntie being annoying still. And the aunt, okay, another problem with her is that she says a whole lot. She does a whole lot of talking, but she's not really saying anything. And then Evita is like me, she doesn't understand what's going on, and she's telling her aunt, like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. And it's like, you know what, Evita, I don't understand what you're supposed to do either. I don't understand why either one of you are in this episode. Because the aunt is speaking in like really just flowery language, and she's talking about the storm is coming and fear is bubbling up beneath the city, and fear brings the worst instincts to the surface. And it's like, girl, say something. put some verbs in this sentence. Tell us what you think should happen. What is supposed to happen. Stop speaking in poems. Like, really, I was just so done with her. I was through with it. I was like, get the fuck out of here with this bullshit, and like say something that's useful to anybody. Like even Evita is standing there like, I don't understand. Like, what am I supposed to do? And it's like, really, Evita, what are you supposed to do? Oh my God. And so what happens is the Tandy and Mina go to Roxanne, and they want to go and see Scarborough to find out how to stop all these all the valves from exploding, or to find out how to you reverse this. And Scarborough is in his office because he's a super dick, and he's in his office destroying hard drives. He's packing his shit up, and he's getting the fuck out of town. And I mean, he's an asshole, but it's like, what do you expect this guy to do? It's like, I didn't expect anything differently from Scarborough. He is like, he has a supervillain face. Like, this guy has such a bad guy face. He just looks like a bad guy. He could never play a good person. He always has to play like a bad guy because that's just the kind of face that he has. But what he does do before he gets fucked up is he we get some cool references in this episode. We get so Scarborough gets on the elevator with Tandy and Mina. And he name drops Tony Stark and Danny Rand. He also he tells them where they have to go in order to shut off these valves, because they can't shut them off remotely anymore. They have to go to a specific place, and where they have to go is the 616 building by the waterfront. So I'm like, oh my God, you guys. This is so cute. Like, we know all of these, like, the universe is connected, but it was like kind of funny and cute for all of these things for him to, name drop Tony Stark and Danny Rand, and the 616. So that was cool. And so, I'm about to say Evita. Mina punches Scarborough in the face, so everybody wanted to do that. My girl Mina got to do it. And Tandy decides that it's time to really get back at Scarborough. Like, he can't be allowed to just walk away from all of this. So she touches him, and she goes into his hopes. And I was wondering if this was a new power. So what she does is she touches him, and he's asking her in his like hopey place, what's she doing there? Like, what are they doing there? And she's telling him, like, these are your greatest hopes. I can make your dreams come true. He tells her he wants to be a god, which is like, wait, what? I thought he was just a greedy guy, but now he wants to be God. Not, she says, do you want to be a god? He says, I want to be God. So, if you didn't know he was a bad guy, he like basically explicitly states, I am the bad guy here. So what she does is she takes him to the door that was in Ivan Hess's mind, and she tells him to open that door, and everything that you need is in there. And when he opens the door, he hears the alarms blaring, and it's basically she takes him in there, she locks him in there to relive that moment that Ivan was reliving over and over again, the explosion and everything. And it was like, oh, that's hardcore, because Ivan was fucked up in there. He was catatonic, and Scarborough is left catatonic in this episode. He's left catatonic sitting in the elevator. So good on Tandy. You know, you don't have to kill everybody. Like, they used to kill people a lot in the comic books. So it's like, this was like a cool thing to have her, to have her not kill him, but basically lock him in his mind. So, okay, what I was wondering is about whether this was a new side to her powers, is that she takes him to that door that, Ivan had in his mind. And it's like, well, how does she recreate, the explosion from, the oil rig explosion to lock him in there? She's learned how to construct, dreams like that. I don't really know, but I guess it doesn't matter. Scarborough's gone. He's catatonic on the floor, and that's great. So Ty and Bridget O'Reilly are locked into this little cage, and there's a cop watching them, and the cop, O'Reilly, is trying to talk her way out of it, and she's being she's not being good at it, because the cop is basically shut the fuck up, you not from around here, you're not one of us. And when he says that, Ty is like, yo, she's not one of us, she's not from around here, but I am. I'm from wherever he says he was from. I forget which district he said he was from. And he's like, my parents pay taxes. They're worried about me. You're supposed to be protecting me. He basically white guilts this cop. You're supposed to be out here protecting me. And the cop is he's being softened toward Ty. When Ty was like, yo, my parents are worried about me. He was softening up. And he eventually does help them. When Connors is trying to take O'Reilly and Ty out to kill them, the cop does help them. It's the terrors start attacking the police station, and something else happens that I didn't know was a thing. So the terror gene is spread through touch. I don't know how that was a thing. The only time we see them is in Ivan Hess's mind, and in the end of that episode where Mina gets chased by them. But those two are exposed to the gas that came out of the valve when it exploded. We never seen, I didn't know that it was that this, disease was spread through touch. This terror was spread through touch. But Ty knew, because Ty tells the cop, make sure they don't touch your skin. So I wonder how he knew that, because Ivan Hess wouldn't even know that, right? Because he never sees those people turn into terrors. He only sees how they are after the explosion. So I don't know. See, this is what I do. This is why you come here, right? For me to overthink everything. So eventually some police do get touched by these terrors, and the cops are trying to hold them off. And that's when the cop helps O'Reilly and Ty. And Ty makes the decision, he's teleporting all over the place. And he eventually tells the cop, hey, lock me in the room with the terrors, I'll take care of everything. But I'm like, dude, what was the plan? Because he tells the cop to lock him in there. The cop does what he says. And Ty is just in there with a bunch of terrors, and he doesn't know what to do. And I'm like, well, where were you? Or were you going to teleport them somewhere? What was the plan, Ty? But no plan. Ty is not at a point where he makes plans yet. They eventually rip his cloak off though. And while they're doing that, Mina and Tandy are they get attacked by some terrors. Like they're going down to the warehouse to try to shut off the valves, and they get attacked by some terrors, so they have to run into this warehouse. And Tandy is like really cool in this part. She has her daggers out, like taking these people out, and she's, her daggers are so sharp. She cuts through metal a few times in this episode, and I'm like, that is my girl. Oh, she's so good. So they run into like a warehouse, and they're trying to like close the place off so that they can, hide in there, Tandy and Mina. But Mina eventually gets touched, and this cracked me up. Okay, so I love Mina. She's really good in this show. I'm glad she's not dead. But Mina gets touched, and she turns into one of the terrors. And the actress that plays Mina is like this really like small woman. Like Tandy is small, but Mina is like smaller than Tandy. So when she's running, Mina is a terror, and she's running around, and Tandy is trying to like find out where she is and like what's wrong with her. But it was something like straight out of the Child's Play movie. Like Mina was Chucky to me. She was Chucky because you hear her little feet like running around in this building, and Tandy is trying to find her, and it's too funny. I was like, this is so Chucky. Like to have when you hear the little doll running around and you see his little feet like pattering across I could not stop laughing. Once I thought about it, like, oh my God, she's so Chucky. But eventually, excuse me, Ty shows up. Like when Mina is about to attack Tandy, Ty shows up with his ripped cloak on, and he takes down Mina with a stun gun or something like that. So Mina taken down, she's not dead. Ty doesn't know what to do because his cloak is all ripped up, which I was kind of happy about because I didn't love that cloak. Like I was happy that Ty got a cloak and that it was connected to his brother, but I always wanted Ty's cloak to be Billy's hoodie because I don't know, that just made the most sense to me, and it was like it just seemed the most meaningful to me. But Ty and Tandy go to the church. Are they at the church? I think they go to the church. And they're trying to figure out what to do. Ty is down on himself because he can't do anything without the cloak. And this is when Tandy has to give him the pep talk. Like, you're Ty freaking Johnson. You're a baller. She basically telling him how great he is and telling him like, you don't need that cloak. You're great without it. And this is when she gives him Billy's hoodie, and she tells him, you can, if you need it, if you really think you need it, I don't think you need this, but if you really think you need it, here, take this. And he's like, why didn't you tell me you had it? And she tells him, because I needed it, but I don't need it anymore. And I don't think you do either. But if you think you do, here you go. And it was just this really nice moment. And then Evita shows up because Evita's job is to tell them that they're the divine pairing and that one of them has to die and in order to make all of these bad things go away, blah blah blah. And Ty and Evita have a moment, and he tells her he cares about her, and they kiss, and it's like they do zero for me. Like Ty and Evita do nothing for me. I get nothing from them. And this is not just because I'm a Ty and Tandy shipper. Like, you know how hardcore I am about shipping Ty and Tandy. Ty and Evita just don't do anything for me. I don't find Evita to be an interesting character, so I'm not interested in them as a couple. I just, I'm not interested in them as a couple. So, and then, when Evita leaves, Tandy tells Ty, like, oh, you should lock that down. I didn't see it before, but now I see it and you should lock that down. And I'm like, Tandy, you don't make the best decisions, girl. So I'm going to need you to sit down and be quiet and stop telling Ty that he needs to get with Evita, because that is not the case. Like, stop it, girl. So they decide, and Tandy, when Evita tells Ty and Tandy that one of them has to die, Tandy is like, what the fuck are you talking about, girl? One of us has to die. Like, what are you even talking about? And Tandy was not here for it. Ty was much more like open to the, this prophecy thing, but Tandy was not having it. And I appreciated that, because that's exactly how I would have been if somebody comes in and tells you, like, you're the divine pairing, one of you has to die though in order to save everybody. I'd be like, what? Can we come up with another plan that doesn't end up with one of us dead? So they, Tandy's not having it, and Ty wants to sacrifice himself because he's already been cut on the arm, and we find out, like, through the auntie's chit chat that the person that in the divine pairing that is supposed to die ends up getting a mark. And Ty already has the mark. He got like cut or scratched or something when he was trying to escape from the terrors. So he has a cut on his arm, and he thinks that means that he's the one that has to sacrifice himself. So they run out, and when they run out, it's like a video game. O'Reilly is out there trying to give them cover fire. And she eventually runs into Connors, and he shoots her, and one of the valves explodes in her face, and he pushes her off the pier into the water. And then he goes over to Ty and Tandy with a shotgun, and he tells Ty, Ty is like, aren't you done trying to shoot me? And he's like, yeah, I know I can't shoot you. But I can shoot your little girlfriend over here. And he, points the shotgun at Tandy, and Tandy is like, no, you messing with the wrong one. And Tandy, Ty teleports over to him, and then Tandy runs up on him and cuts his shotgun in half with one of her light daggers. And I'm like, yes, that is my girl. Oh, I told you, Tandy was such a badass in this episode. It was so cool cutting that gun in half with her light dagger. I was so into it. So Ty grabs Connors, and he teleports him up to a roof, and he's basically trying to scare him, like asking him if he's afraid and telling him that you should be scared. And he's thinking about throwing him off the roof, but of course Ty's still a good guy, not willing to kill somebody in cold blood. Just pushes him down, and of course Connors, being Connors, can't just like take the win. He has to be a dick, and he takes out a gun to try to shoot Ty, and Ty's cloak, or the dark force around Ty, swallows up Connors, and that dude is gone. And we need to give this show a round of applause for finally taking that guy out of our lives, because but it was really cool. Ty didn't even know what was going on, so I wonder if he's gonna like figure out how to control the dark force with his cloak and everything. But it's really cool. Connor's just got swallowed up by the cloak. And in the comic books, people would get swallowed up, but eventually, so Connors is just dead, because the longer you stay in there, in this sort of dark force, the worse it is. And then you eventually get the life sucked out of you. So he's obviously going to be dead. But I wonder if we're ever going to see him like get spit back out, because that happens in the comic book. Like he'll Ty will suck somebody into the dark force in the cloak. And then once their life force is sucked out of them, the person will basically, their body will basically be spit back out. But I'm guessing that might not happen. You wouldn't do that, with that actor just to bring him back, just so you could see his dead body. But whatever. So this is when Ty really is like, Tandy, it was nice knowing you, but it's time for me to sacrifice myself. I'm the fastest one, since I can teleport and I can, press all the buttons and turn the valves off. And he disappears and he leaves her. And he goes and he does what he did in Ivan's mind, and he shuts off all the valves and everything. And then Tandy shows up and she tells him, like, yo, I'm not going to let you sacrifice yourself. We're in this together, and I'm not letting you do this by yourself. And then another explosion happens and Tandy falls, and her arm gets cut as well. So now they both have the mark of the person that's supposed to sacrifice themselves. And Tandy says, well, since we're both marked, we don't know which one of us it has to be, so we have to do this together. And that's what they do. They're finally able to touch. They hold on to each other so that they don't get like blown away like they did earlier in the season. And it's basically a terrible song comes on while they're ascending into the sky, and they're directing all of the dark forest, all of the dark forest and the light into the heavens. And they end up on the roof of the, what's that stadium down in New Orleans called? I forget what that stadium is called, but they end up on the roof of the stadium holding hands with each other. And so now we finally have Cloak and Dagger. And I think that is basically what this season was about. Turning them into Cloak and Dagger so that next season they can actually be Cloak and Dagger and, the team that they're supposed to be. So that was nice. And the song was awful. Like the song playing during the scene where they're, doing their sacrificey thing it's like a really terrible song. Like this show has such great music. To have that song there, like this like really bad pop song, and it was made even worse because the song that comes on after it, like the song that the episode ends on, is really good. I'm going to go buy that song. But oh my God, it was so bad. It was so like cheesy and like, ugh. So, we find out there's like news reports and everything that there's going to be investigations, but everybody is back to normal. Everybody who's not dead is back to normal. And, Tandy's going back to live with her mom, and Ty is going to live in the church now. So, because he can't go back home, he's still wanted by the police. And that is the end of the episode. Until we get a like after credit sequence. O'Reilly climbs out of the water and her eyes are all like greeny, like cat-like or something like that. Her eyes are all changed. and she's moving like fast forward. Like if you've ever seen The Ring, like when Samara climbs out of the well, like that way that she kind of she like fast forward, like moves toward people. That's what was happening with O'Reilly. And she is going to be Mayhem. I haven't read a lot about Mayhem in the comics, but you know, I'm going to read some more about it before the second season. I'm going to continue to read the Cloak and Dagger comics to get like some more on O'Reilly, or Mayhem rather. But yeah, Mayhem, and that's part of the promotion for next season. Mayhem is coming next season, something like that. But Ty and Tandy end the episode like staring into each other's eyes, and I'm like, these two people have a ton of chemistry. Like, come on, quit it with the Evita stuff. But anyway, that's the end of the episode, you guys, and that is the end of the season. I really enjoyed this season, and I am so excited for next season. Like, I'm excited to see them sort of get. I'm excited to see what they're like, how they're going to what powers they're going to establish. Like, there has to be some rules. We can't just have them discovering new things every week. So there's going to have to be an end to it. So I want to know how they're going to like put the parameters around their powers, and you know what's going to be the end to them. So I want to see them learn their powers more and see how powerful they actually get. And I want to see them actually working together, because you know, in the comics, Ty can teleport not just himself, but he can teleport Tandy too. So I can't wait to see that happen. I want to know, you know, there was such an emphasis on the fact that one of the divine pairing had to die in order to save everybody. So obviously neither one of them dies. So I want to know if there's going to be a price to pay for both of them still being alive, or like what they're going to do about that. And I want to know what's going to happen. Like, Connors is gone, but the reason he got away with killing Billy the first time, or not the first time, but killing Billy, is because his uncle was like, I don't know whether he was the police chief or whether he was just a higher up in the police department. Like, I don't know I don't remember exactly who he was, but he is like connected to people in really high places. And I don't think that they're just going to forget about him. Like, they spend a whole lot of time covering up his murder. So it can't just be, you know, oh, well, forget about O'Reilly. Not O'Reilly, but forget about Connors. Like, people are going to be worried about him, right? So there has to be some consequences for him not showing back up. And O'Reilly, like, people are going to be looking for her too, right? You know, a police officer that has disappeared. Next season is going to be fun. And I also, okay, so the Runaways, they're airing the Runaways, the first season of the Runaways, on Freeform now. And you know, they aired the first episode after the season finale of Cloak and Dagger, and I'm guessing that the rest of the season is going to continue to air like in the place of Cloak and Dagger. So I'm wondering if we're going to get a crossover between Cloak and Dagger and the Runaways, which would be really cool. It's happened in the comics, but this would be, I think, even better, because in the comics, when they crossed over, Cloak and Dagger, Tandy and Ty were older. they were a few years older than the kids in the Runaways, but now they're all like high school age kids, you know, together. So I think it'd be really cool if we get a crossover between them. I wonder if that can happen. It would be really cool if it could. The Runaways was good. So if you haven't watched The Runaways already, you should watch it because it was a really cool show and I enjoyed it. So fingers crossed for that crossover. So, okay, what is coming up on the podcast? So there will be no Saved by the Bell episode this week. I'm going to continue with Saved by the Bell, my Saved by the Bell rewatch next week. But you'll be getting this episode on Wednesday. I believe that's the 8th. So when you're listening to this, it'll be Wednesday because everything got thrown off. But I don't want to wait another week to put this show out. So I'm putting out on Wednesday. Fear the Walking Dead will be back this weekend. So I'll be doing Fear the Walking Dead. I'm not excited, but I'm going to continue for the rest of the season. Fear the Walking Dead comes back, I believe, this Sunday. So you'll be getting a new Fear the Walking Dead review on Tuesday. And that is it, you guys. You should follow me on the socials. I'm at NerdTrovertPod on Twitter. That's NERD TROVERT pod. So follow the podcast on Twitter. You can follow me personally on Twitter at the Ms. Introvert. That's THEMS Introvert. On Instagram, I'm at TheIntrovertedNerd, and go to the Facebook page and like it and follow it. It's facebook.com/TheIntrovertedNerd. You can also go to TheIntrovertedNerd.com to listen to all of the back episodes from the beginning. So if you want to start my Saved by the Bell rewatch from the beginning, go to TheIntrovertedNerd.com. You can also listen to my reviews for, Black Lightning. And if you want to send me feedback, you can send it to theintrovertednerd@gmail.com. Just put the name of the show into the subject line and I'll know who you are. Oh, and if you're going to tweet me, use the hashtag NerdyWatch so I'll know you're out there. And I'll be live tweeting Fear the Walking Dead on Sunday. So that is it, you guys. Later.